Well, welcome everyone to the 2021 William Capell International Piano Competition. I'm Carl Holbert, president of the William Knabe Institute. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Daniel Pesca, the jury chairman this year. The competition jury has chosen special competitors to invite to today's masterclass, and that's an award in and of itself, and we congratulate the three who are performing today for having been selected to be in the masterclass. We're excited to hear from each of you. The participants, although we have the list and the repertoire online, the participants will announce their names and what they'll be performing after they bow. They come up on stage and bow, and then Dr. Pesca, after each participant performs, will come up and conduct a masterclass with that participant. So we're ready to get started. Congratulations again. We're excited to hear you perform. Keep time for me.
Hi, my name is Carissa Lynn, and I'll be playing Waltz number 14 in E minor.
Bravo, Carissa. Please stay at the piano. Yes, thank you. May I have the score?
Oh.
Yes. Yes. So to echo what Dr. Holbert said, have a seat, please. To echo what Dr. Holbert said, you were some of the very, very best that the jury had the pleasure of listening to in this competition. So it's really a treat to get to hear you today in person. And and your performance was wonderful, really, really wonderful. And you have a great understanding of the piece already. So I congratulate you on that. Now, I feel that in the waltzes of Chopin, there are often two contrasting characters. Do you have any idea what those might be? Well, there's usually a more brilliant character, like one that's virtuosic and fingery and full of fast notes and life. And then there's a more lyrical character that has a more song-like quality. And some of the waltzes sort of focused on one or the other, but this waltz really has both. Wouldn't you agree? Mm-hmm. I mean, there are some areas of the piece which are all about, fast and fancy finger work. And there are other areas of the piece that are more about singing you know? And I want you to make those differences more clear.
Okay.
So that's one big thing that we'll be working on. My only technical note, you have really terrific fingers, but my only technical note is to work on your pedaling.
Okay.
Yeah, the pedal, sometimes it does not clear entirely. And I know you're reaching to get it, and as you get a little taller, it'll get easier.
Okay.
But just always keep an ear out for that, you know? Listen for the pedaling, that when you clear, that the sound really clears, so that the harmony, each different chord, has its own pedal. Okay? So that's one technical note. And then those are kind of the overarching things I'd like to work on. I have some comments on each section as we go through also. The way you started was wonderful. Really, really good. Did you have a chance to try the piano before you begin? Okay. That's important with any piece, but this piece in particular, because it's a quiet beginning. So we have to know that we can rely on the instrument to do what we need it to do. Now, one of the difficulties of the beginning is this crescendo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that the crescendo really has to be brought out strongly in the left hand. So in other words, each of these rolled chords, each one has to be a little more than the last.
Okay.
You know, I felt like you were getting louder, and then this one was already as loud as you got, and then these four sounded the same. So it's, you know, might be good practice, I think, to try just the left hand. And just think about, from this measure, this is still piano, because the crescendo hasn't started. So this is still piano. A little more, a little more, a little more, forte. So each one is on a little different level, little notch up. Can you try just the left hand? Yeah, good. I think you can give a little more, and the pinky, kind of, can you drop on the pinky? Yeah. That's it, yeah, because your G comes out really strong. The top note comes out really strong. But if you can give a little more sound on the pinky, and for my taste, I don't even care if the roll is a little slower. If the pinky is stronger, I prefer that. Okay? Can you try one more time? So try the roll a little slower. That's sounding better. That's sounding more balanced, because now we hear the E, which is the bass note. It's the fundamental. So it's the foundation that the whole chord is built on. So we want to hear that E. Even if the roll is slower, I don't think that matters at all. And the left hand is really the foundation also, because the right hand will help with the crescendo, of course. But if each of those chords isn't a little more than the last one, then we don't really get a sense of crescendo.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it hands. Do you want to do it left hand alone again? Or are you ready to try hands together?
Both hands?
Yeah. Okay, from the very beginning. That had a really nice crescendo to it. That was good. I would keep working on that left hand to make sure that each of those rolled chords is a little more than the last one. But that's the idea. That's already very improved. Okay, now, when it comes to this theme, which is this is kind of the main theme of the waltz, I had two ideas for you. The first one is to pay attention to what the bass is doing. May I demonstrate? Can you hop up? So I'm just going to play the bass in the melody. So the bass, the motion of the bass tells you how to phrase the melody. So it's rising. And then resolving. You see that? It comes up step by step, D sharp, E, F sharp, G, A, B, and then it resolves. So that's the motion of the phrase. The bass line tells you. This is often the case in Chopin. We're going to hear your nocturne next. The bass line gives you a lot of information in all music, but in Chopin in particular, he was really, really interested in what the bass line can express. So that's my first thought about this. Can you just give that a try? Have a seat. Just listen for that bass line.
It's a bit far away.
Oh, it's a little far away. Here. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So listening for that bass note will give you a sense of the 8-bar phrase, 8 measures, all going together. Okay? So really listen for that. And I would suggest practicing it the way I just demonstrated. Just the right hand and the bass, and listening to that relationship. Very good. One other little thing I wanted to bring up in this passage. He writes this as a half note. Isn't that interesting? And almost every time I hear it played, it sounds like it's just an 8th note to me. And yes, it is. There is an 8th note after it, 8th note motion off of it. But the half note tells me that he wants that note to keep sounding. And so in order for it to keep sounding, you have to bring it out a little more. I think this is a place where the first beat is actually light. That's that staccato. And then the second beat has a little bit of emphasis, and that's indicated by the half note. So just think about that. Do you want to try, could you try that just the right hand there? Yeah, good. That was a little exaggerated. Try one more time and make them a little more equal. Yeah, this G, the one with the G was really good. It was really good because I heard, what I want to hear is, right? Because that's the long line. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, listen for that. Okay, that was it. Yes. So that's what needs to emerge there. Okay, I'm not even going to work on this passage with you because I think you play it great. I love the rubato you do there. You just take a little extra time and it makes it very, very beautiful and singing. This was the place where what I talked about at first, the character contrast of singing and brilliant, this is where it came out the best in your performance. Now, when we come over here to the E major section, I do want this to sing a little more. I do want this to sing a little more. And part of the problem here is that the melody has a lot of long notes, right? Like dotted half notes. Those are pretty long. And in order for them to continue, and in order for there to be a sense of a line, those notes need a little bit more projection. You just have to give them a little more sound on those long notes. Okay? Let's give that a try. This was already better. I really like that. Now what I need is a little bit more sense of the long phrase. So notice how he has it slurred. How does he have it slurred? That's lovely. And that's already better. But the difficulty here is hearing the 4-bar phrase, because that's how he has it slurred, right? Four measures, 4 measures, 4 measures. And the problem is that the melody is da, da, like it just sits. It can sit so easily instead of da, da, dee, da, 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 da. You know? It has to swing on to the 3rd measure. So can you try one more time? Did you feel you did anything differently that time? Yeah, what did you do? You phrased it out more, right? That really helped. That really helped a lot. Okay, great. So that's the idea there. Okay, here, this is an interesting moment, isn't it? Because it is the highest dynamic of the piece. I always notice that in any piece I'm studying, I look for the highest dynamic and the lowest dynamic, because that tells me the range of dynamics that the composer had in mind. Here on the first 2 pages, piano forte, fortissimo. This is new. Pianissimo, later, also new. So those have to have very different colors than anything we've heard before. This is also an interesting moment because it's a solo for the left hand. For these measures, it's really the left hand's show. So I think you can actually clear out the right hand a little bit. Don't play those chords quite so heavy to make room for that left hand to really rumble along down there, okay? Especially in these bars, especially in those. Good, that's already better. I could hear the left hand above the right hand, which is what I want. This is a spot to be careful of pedal. Because of all that rumbliness in the left hand, it's very easy for that to get muddy on the pedal. You know, we have to be careful, especially when we have these intervals, you know, seconds, that low in the bass. Those build up really fast. So try less pedal, not no pedal, but less. Can you just play these bars in the left hand? And yeah, I know it's a tricky spot because of all the leaps, right? I mean, there are leaps all over this, this piece, and you're doing a great job of them. But you know, here, the leaps are part of the melody. So you have to be a little more graceful about weaving these all together. So especially these 4 notes lead to that one. These 3 notes lead to that one, even though it's a leap. So can you feel that a little more? Oh, wonderful. Did you hear the pedal got a little messy though? Yeah. Let's try it now all together here. That's really nice. This is just one of those pedal spots. I'll just mention it, just right on that downbeat. Make sure that's clean because it's a change of chord. Okay. Could you try one more time? Just from here is fine. Right. Good. So when the left hand really takes this time to be a soloist, that's the left hand's show. It makes it a much more dramatic change when you go back to the right hand here. You know? Okay, now the next thing we need to look at is just this little moment where we have the theme and come back in pianissimo. And since it is pianissimo and it is the softest dynamic in the piece, as we discovered, it has to have a very special sound where the audience kind of sits on the edge of their seat and like leans in, you know? So it's very sweet and delicate. That was really nice. I want to hear it now in comparison. So I'm going to have you start back here. And this one's piano. So this actually needs a little more presence. And then here, change the sound like you just play it like you just did. But make these two very different. was lovely. That was really, really nice. Yeah. Sometimes I lose a little bit the quality of sound on. It's tricky. Yeah. So if it helps you, you can take a little more time there. I would prefer that you take more time and make a beautiful sound on each note.
Okay.
One more time from here. Great. Yeah, that was nice here. The tone quality was really nice. Clean pedal change here though, at the very end. Okay, good. And then we have this very brilliant coda, right? And you play this really, really well. One thing to watch out for is the double notes, which is what we call it when in the middle of a passage like that, there are two notes at once. Sometimes they don't hit quite together when you play. So just keep an ear out for that in your practice. That's just one of those things that we always have to work on. It just requires a lot of maintenance. Even after you think you have it down, you have to keep working on it. It's never all the way there, you know. Otherwise, really, really good performance. How are we on time? 5 minutes. Oh, I have 5 minutes? Well, let's hear you play it again then. Excellent. Take another bow. Beautiful job, Chris. I heard many of the improvements we talked about already, and I know you'll practice them in even more. So wonderful work. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
My name is Eric Sun, and I'll be playing Nocturne in B major, Opus 9, note number 3 by Chopin.
Thank you, Eric. Congratulations on your very accomplished performance of this piece. I'll put the music up here so we can both have a look. Is this the edition you were reading from?
I have another one.
Okay,
I just made a copy.
I see. Okay, yeah. Is it, sure. Yeah, may I see that? Thank you. This is probably a bit better. I think that looks like it's maybe McCooley or something from IMSLP.
Oh.
And And this is probably is a little more authentic since it's Henley. Okay, great. So I'm just going to keep this here for reference as well.
Okay.
Okay, very good. So one thing you should work on in your playing, especially in a piece like this, is your legato touch. You sometimes achieve a nice legato, but other times your technique in the right hand is a little note by note. And I lose the connection in the long line and in the long phrases. You know, there are many different kinds of articulations in this piece. I mean, that's one of the marvelous things about this piece, is that it's so full of all this articulation detail. But when he gives you longer phrases, I need a more sumptuous and flowing and rich legato. So let's pick a spot where that's the case. This is, to me, a very good example. That was more connected in the fingers since we were attentive to it now. But the legato quality comes not only from the connection in the sound in the technique, but also a real investment in what the phrase is doing, sort of where the motion of the phrase is, so that each note has an internal sense of direction and connects to the next note. That's still missing a little bit. Can you try one more time? Focus on that quality. That had a lot more intention to it. So I think it's just a matter of, I think you know what to do. You've studied the piece very well. You know what to do, you know what you want to say with the piece, but it just is remembering to do it, especially when you're on the spot, when you're performing, and when the pressure is on. And the other thing, as long as we're on this passage, is just, you know, our musical intentions, our ideas about what a phrase is doing and saying might be very clear in our own minds, but then don't necessarily come across as clearly as we think they do. This is always an issue as a performer, is judging what you feel versus what the audience feels. And sometimes you have to make things super clear for the audience to really get it. So hop up for a second. Let's see. So I'm really trying to exaggerate how the phrase ascends to that A sharp. You hear that? And I heard you doing the same thing, but it needs a little more of that for that to really come out for the listener. You try it. So in the story of the phrase, sorry, hop up again. Every phrase kind of tells a story, right? So this one, so it does the same thing sort of twice, right?
Yeah.
And then it sets up to do it again. And that's a surprise. And he marks it as a surprise with that very special articulation mark. So make that more of a focal point. And then this is like a little afterthought, right? And change of articulation. We have the portato. You know? So that second half of the phrase can still come across more clearly. when you got that E, because that was the right quality for that. So I was just noticing one thing to go back to my initial point, which was about the legato, is I think when you do the 4 against 3, you want to play it kind of choppy in the right hand, maybe because your brain is calculating the 4 against 3, so it makes it a little angular. That's better. That's better. Yeah. Okay, good. All right, so one of the marvelous things about this nocturne, we're going to go back, work on the beginning a little bit, is that there are a lot of different characters, really, in this A section. I mean, the initial character he gives is scherzando, which is an unusual mark for a nocturne. I can't think of many other nocturnes that start with a scherzando character, you know? But then it very quickly kind of changes, I feel. Already by here, it's a little different, isn't it? So just capturing more of that, I don't know, the very changeable character of this piece. It's like a fickle piece. It's like a person that's always changing their mind and trying something a little different, you know? I think that's very much a character in this nocturne. It's a difficult one to capture. So start at the beginning again. And one other note on your beginning is have a clear conception of the tempo before you start. I felt like when you started just now, it was maybe just, standing up in a master class and playing. That's always a little nerve-wracking. But make sure that you have a clear conception of the tempo, because it took about 2 measures for you to settle into your tempo. Okay, great. Yeah, very good. Very good. That was a better opening in terms of the tempo. Now the character, which was what I was talking about a moment before. This scherzando, and then this different character. And for me, the reason why these have different characters is he has this staccato marks here and the rest. Here it's long phrases. So bring out that difference. Beautiful. That was really, especially here. I loved how you played that part. Hop up for a second. I'm wondering if we can get a little more scherzando though. Try experiment. I know these are his pedal marks, I think. Maybe not. Those might not be his pedal marks. Those might be the editor's pedal marks. So maybe experiment with a lighter pedal. No, that was too light. So we get a little more air in the sound there, a little more air in the sound. And then when we go on, we'll go a little further. I feel like this is a very special note because, we had this bass line. Like I was saying to Carissa, the bass line tells you a lot in Chopin. So you have B, 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 C sharp. It descends a 7th. It doesn't just finally. So I think you can kind of sink into the richness of that and the fact that the bass line has finally gone somewhere. I think you can make that more of a moment. Yeah. I liked that a lot. My inclination would be to use this measure to kind of lead to that one, to prepare that. I heard you do that a little. You could do more, I think. Yeah, one more time. 16 variation. You're playing exactly what's printed there, which is da 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 da. But in this score, it's tied. Yeah. I'm more used to hearing the tie. Yeah, but you're doing exactly what's written in this one. So. Okay, and then in general, we'll move on to the middle section in a moment. But in general, when you have these more ornamental phrases like this, think about what each one is kind of saying musically. Sometimes it sounds like you go into a little bit of a technical mode with those, and they lose a little of the quality because again, Chopin and his markings, the markings really tell you a lot. Leggerissimo, dolcissimo on that one, scherzando on that one. He really tells you, and on this one, later, con forza. Do we have any others? Also con forza. So each of these passages with these, ornamental sort of themes has a different quality, and you can do a lot more with that. Let's just try a couple of them. Maybe this. Let's start with this one. Leggerissimo, so extremely lively. So sort of like little yeah, like fireflies or something, right? You can start back here. I'm thinking a little more transparency in the left hand is going to help you there with that leggerissimo tone. That's it. That's good. Okay, let's go to this one. Where's a good place to start? Maybe the beginning of that line. Okay, so this one's dolcissimo. Not only is it dolcissimo, but he has these hairpins on it. So he wants it to start. I would start it like extremely light, as light as you can play almost, and then let it open up right around here as it gets to the top. Take your time, because this is a super expressive. This is a very expressive figure at the end of the bar, and definitely needs some time. I mean, as printed, there are 30-second notes, which it needs more breath than that. So open up the sound, open up the time in the second half of the bar. For me, that was a lot more convincing. Now it fit into the phrase much better, This one's scherzando. I think that the reason it's scherzando is he has these little flickers of light because the octaves kind of flick up, So it gives this kind of like little shimmery texture. So have a little more fun with that. That flick, like bring that out. Yeah, good. It's too elegant, actually. You're playing it too elegantly. Yeah. You want to do it in context? I think that would help. Start a couple bars before. Yeah. Hop up for a second. You hear that little ping I give on the top? Maybe I'm overdoing it, but I like it because for me it captures the scherzando. It gives a little lively color there. Rather, you're kind of easing into that top note. That's it. Yeah, more like that. More like that. you can kind of practice that in a bit. Okay, and then the conforza. These sections have to be a little more climactic. Both when it occurs here and here. Because it's a pretty long crescendo. It's a stretto and a crescendo. So there's like this feeling of anxiety, in these measures, like a heightening, like it's really building up. And then here, this is a very magical transition back to piano. So I want to try that, because you want to review this chord also. That gave you some trouble in the run. Yeah. It's B flat major, but it's spelled as A sharp major, which is a little bit of a brain teaser. Maybe start back here. I get the crescendo. I don't get quite enough stretto. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So there's like it pushing ahead a little bit. It should push ahead a little more, That was better. I felt like it was all at once, though. You can pace it out more across the whole passage, so that each measure has a little more. Stretto's a progressive process. I mean, it's one step at a time. It's like crescendo. One last note there, then we'll dive into the middle section. Could you hop up? What I'm wondering about is your pedal change, because and then you change the pedal like that. So you change the pedal on that note. He has this fermata in the left hand that's still ringing through the bar. So I don't know. I don't think he wants a total break in the harmony. I think he wants it to last through. Otherwise, he would have notated it differently. He would have notated rests in the left hand under those two notes.
Okay. Yeah.
On this section. I think this is the difficult section of the piece. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the difficulty of it arises from the fact that the two hands are doing very different things. And the right hand is truly in duple. It is truly eighth notes and subdivisions of eighth notes and 16th notes. And the left hand is truly in triple. I mean, it's just wall-to-wall triplets. And that has to be very clear. And they get a little mixed up in your performance. The triplets get a little distorted by the duple, and the duple gets a little distorted by the triplets. So you gotta, pat your head and rub your belly. It's that kind of thing with this passage. And they each have to be characterful as well. I sometimes feel that your left hand in this passage becomes kind of like a sewing machine, like a motor. but it's not expressing anything. And it needs to sort of swirl and have a life of its own. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start by isolating the left hand.
Okay.
It's an awkward left hand, isn't it? Hop up for a second. Let's see. Trying to think what I would do. I don't play this piece. So I want the left. First of all, the bass should always be clear. So there's that lower line, and then there's the kind of chromatic swirl in between. It's like, oh, it's very desperate. It's like, oh, help me, So you kind of have to think of it in just the left hand. There are already actually these two layers. There's the bass line, and then there's this like swirling chromatic thing. I think it'll help to practice this left hand a lot on its own. You should be able to play the left hand in this section like it's a beautiful, complete composition of its own. That's expressively complete. That's musically complete. Like if somebody listening to it and not knowing that it was just the left hand would be satisfied, saying this is a great piece. It's that kind. It requires that kind of integrity. And the tricky thing with the right hand is projecting that long line. It's similar to what I was talking about in the waltz. When you have long melodic values, they require a lot of projection to carry the line forward. Otherwise, the line kind of stops on each note. It's easy to sing it that way. Harder when you're playing the piano and that you can't, affect the note after you strike it. But you have to hear that in your ear, that long line, and project that. Would you mind doing the right hand alone? Sorry, I keep making you pop up. Is these leading notes. Da, 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 da. They get a little caught up, I think, partially by that inner voice repetition. So they don't lead. They have to. That's really where this motion of the phrase comes from, is from those little leading notes. Don't be shy about this. Forzando. It's a very distinctive thing. It's like this little bell. Give that. Let it have that character. this is kind of the sort of work I feel you need to do on this section, and then coordinate it all, and then also notice again, echoing what I was saying in the waltz. This kind of piece of Chopin, there's a lot of emotional fluctuation and dynamic fluctuation, and you're going from forte, forzando to pianissimo to fortissimo. I mean, you got to capture all of those ups and downs also. But that I would say is the next layer. What you should focus on now is these other elements I'm talking about. Each hand having its integrity. Does that make sense? How are we on time? 2 minutes? Okay. That gives me a little time for the end. This is a beautiful culmination to this piece here, this phrase. Has to have a super legato, expressive quality. Very long phrase, very long slur there. So I wanted to hear that again, wherever's good to start. Good. Okay, Henley has this too. Pedal mark there that is open. I believe the pedal should ring through.
Okay.
It's the same in this edition. They show the release there. This is to me one of those colors that you find in Chopin where he's just enjoying sonority for its own sake. It's looking forward to Debussy really. There's all these blurs that come from the non-chord tones like the G sharp and the C sharp. But I think he wants that in there, that just shimmer of, not just the triad.
Okay.
Just a note there at the end. Okay, I think that's what we have time for. Wonderful work. Very good. Yes. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Hi, I'm Jessica Wang, and I will be playing in Suspiro as Liszt.
Wonderful. You're so, so musical. And it's no easy task to sit in a master class for an hour and then stand up and play a Liz Day-Tude. So it's very, very impressive, indeed. And in fact, I mean, I think you have such a good intuitive understanding of this piece. I don't have too much to tell you, but there is one big thing I want to tell you, which is to make sure that your rubato is not always too similar. You have a tendency to sort of sit on the first note of the arpeggios. I mean, there's a technical reason for that, of course, too, because that's kind of how the piece is written. There's a hurdle on every beat, technically speaking, that we have to jump. But the phrases have to go through a little more. They have to go through. Because right now they're stopping too much. And so the piece winds up being very segmented. And in spite of that, I mean, you give a great performance because you're so musical. It overcomes that. But if we can get it to go through more, then it's going to be just stunning, you know. So that's really the big thing I'd like to work on. You know, I don't mind it actually so much at the opening, because the opening you're sort of creating this atmosphere, you're welcoming us into it gently, and so it's okay if there's that slightly what's the word, exploratory quality, like you're entering a space and you're looking around and kind of, you know, appreciating things for the first time. But as the piece gains momentum, that's when it really starts to bother me. So really by around here, right, by this around this key change, and then all the way through after that. But let's see if it can even help it twice. Right? And I heard you. I wonder if the hairpin also gives us a sense of a little more motion there, because it's adding this direction. So maybe that's a spot where you can try and, you know, ease your foot off the brakes a little bit. Okay? Yeah, so I did feel some more motion through that time. I thought this was really well done. And then the time you took here, as indicated by somebody, was great. So that was all convincing, because this drove through, and this phrase also drove through a little more. And then this was great, the way that built into this. These are technically difficult bars with the changing bass note. I feel like in those bars, if you broaden the tempo rather than increase the gap between beats, that's a better strategy. So that it has this kind of like titanic and surging quality, rather than it feels a little now like you're hesitating, you know? But try it actually a little broader. The pulse is more stretched out. The little notes within the beat are more stretched out to fill up the beats, so that it's not, but it's, you know, and we get more of that continuity. Can you just try it? I don't know if you want to start right on that. Great. I loved the first two measures, but then you sort of like set that, you know? And this I feel, this is really surging to this. This is the arrival. I mean, he marks that with the forte and with the appassionato. So don't get right up to it and then plant it. You know, jump into it. You have to kind of dive into it more. Yeah, that was it. That was really, really good. Yeah, this is often like my the types of terms I tell myself for the list is like these very like physical things like diving or jumping or like, because that's how it has to feel. It has to feel like these, waves sort of coming from us, like doing something very athletic. Okay, and then I have the same feeling here in your run through, is that you led to this and then you kind of planted on it. But instead, this has to be part of the same process, So you can't kind of stop to look before you leave. You have to just go. So maybe we can just go from where we stopped. Yeah, something happened around here technically that kind of interrupted your progress. Hop up for a second. I hesitate to play this. Let me see. It's just this. This can feel more free, and he says compassion, so like dun dun da 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 ding, da da da, more declamatory, more free, and really feel like this E is coming from this. But dun dun da 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 da. There's a connection there, and be less literal about the rhythm, actually, Wherever's comfortable. Better there. I want you to do it again. But also when it's all going to there. He has that special mark, that special kind of accent to show that that's the arrival. And just feel like that as a cascade, as a larger shape. I'm getting obsessive about one little thing though, which is that I think something about the way you play this E, that first eighth note E in that measure, feels a little too planted. It's like dun dun. You played like that rather than dun dun dun. It doesn't feel. I don't feel the motion enough. I'm sorry to obsess over that one detail, but. Yeah, good. Very, very exciting. And now you got to this page with a different energy, I feel, than in the run through, because there's more cumulative kind of mass, It's like a avalanche or something, That's you start to feel that now, and that's great. This is a tricky page for phrasing. And I know you know that. But I want you to think about it harder. Because it's the melody in the left hand, in the left thumb, sounds really hammered out very evenly. Somebody wrote a crescendo there, and I agree with that crescendo. And then same thing here. There should be this direction in those lines, and then this one's even harder. The line starting here. I think it gives us a hint about what to do with it by putting that sforzando on the E. Because that's really the E. The E is melodic, right? It's coming D, D, C sharp, E. That E is connected to those notes before it. And so by putting the sforzando there, he's telling us that that's the focal point. So ba ba dee dee da 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 dum, and then there's kind of this explosion from that point. Okay, so let's try this page again. Okay, I think you can work on the voice. You can work on the voicing here and the security in that, and really listening to the long line going to the E. With these lines, da, 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 I mean, this note should come out. It should be accented, but also keep in mind that this is an ascent, and so it's okay for that note to not. In fact, I don't think that note should be so bright. I don't think that note should be so bright, so that you have steps to go up to this one. I think that's the arrival. Okay, good. I just want 6 minutes. Okay, we're good. You kind of go to this extremely light sound in this cadenza. And interpretively, my feeling is that since this cadenza springs out of this, that it should be more powerful. And my other argument is not only that energetic flow from here to here, but also that this cadenza is a light cadenza. So to me, this is like the light, delicate, beautiful cadenza, whispery cadenza. And this is more like a furious cadenza. More diabolical. But you have a different interpretation. But I just wanted to offer mine. I would be remiss if I didn't say that I feel something more furious works better in response to that. Do you want to try it once?
Yeah.
Let's try that. You can start there. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you'll obviously have to work on it. But the other thing that's nice about that is it also gives you room in this cadenza to wind it down. He has diminuendo, then it has diminuendo again. So it gives you more room to have this off ramp, so to speak, into this new color. Okay. This is a good passage to go through also because this is a spot where I was starting here, where I was really feeling like you stopped every half bar. So if you can go through a little more, and especially when you get to these, I mean, it's also because the harmony here is so beautiful, and we kind of want to enjoy each one, but sometimes you just have to play through, because if you stop to enjoy everyone, then it stops having a sort of a meaning. So let's start there. Yeah, great. That was wonderful. So sometimes do you play it that way? Because that seemed to work, like very naturally for you.
I don't know. I've never played it like that.
Okay, well that was great. Because what you did, it really did go through more here. And then these went through, and then you took time on that, which I thought was beautiful. And then same here, these went through more, and then you took time on that. Instead of taking time on each one, you know? And that was great. That was great. Same thing here. In particular, I had a particular thing here. When you hit the, don't take too much time on that A flat, because this is, in fact, it's not even melodic. This is all just decoration, you know. Can you try? That was better. That was better. Much better. And then you did place that, but now it had more expressive meaning because it was the first time you did that in this passage. And I also that time you played through here, and actually I would say place that because it's it's an ascending sixth melodically from the A flat to the F. I think that calls for a little stretch. But beautiful. That was really, really nice.
Thank you.
Anything else before we finish? Is it time to finish? Okay. No, I mean, you can experiment with some of these same principles on the last couple pages. And at the very last few bars with those hymn-like chords, just make sure not to play yourself into a corner. You know, which is easy to do when you see triple P, especially. We all feel like, oh my gosh, we're working on eggshells. We have to play everything really, really quiet. But each chord here, of course, it's like he's twisting the harmonic kaleidoscope. Each one has a little bit of a different flavor. And you can bring those out and shape them more without disturbing the generally very, very tranquil atmosphere here. Can you just play from there and then we'll be done? Good, and you can vary the color of them even more. But already that time I heard more variety among them. It didn't just feel like they were all kind of uniformly very distant and pale. So that was great. Beautiful playing, really great. Yes, excellent. And thank you all so much for coming and for playing today. I hope you enjoyed the class. I certainly enjoyed hearing you all. And I'll look forward to hopefully encountering you playing again soon.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you to all. All right. Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.